In this episode, I'm going to help you prevent getting soaked in Cabo San Lucas by good marketing. Stay tuned. Hey YouTube, it's Justin, your business coach and educator at the Tactical Program, where I help business owners build better businesses, free up more time so they can do the things that they love. If you're new to the channel here, welcome. On this channel, I share tips, strategies, and reviews about different things that interest me and how it relates to business. So I hope that you enjoy it. And if you do, hit that subscribe button and like this video. So recently I went on a cruise to Mexico with my family, and we went to Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan, and Los Cabos. And in this video, I'm going to share with you something that I learned in Los Cabos that'll hopefully save you some money and still give you a great experience, especially relating to water tours, which are really popular in the Los Cabos region, especially for cruise ship travelers. So when you get off the ship into the port, there are lots of people who are trying to sell you different things, from hair extensions to land tours and, of course, water tours. Cabo San Lucas is at the tip of the Sea of Cortez and the Pacific Ocean. And with that, you have these beautiful, blue waters and all of these rock formations that are formed naturally. And if you've ever seen ads for Cabo San Lucas, you've seen the famous archway that everybody seems to photograph at dusk or, at sunset. And so it's a really common thing for people to go on a water tour to go and see that particular landmark. So when you get out of this port terminal, you're going to run into these people, and they're going to have a variety of different prices and a variety of different types of boats. So this is where your adventure begins, and it's where you need to be your sharpest. So how most tour operators position it is that it's like a 40-minute tour, and they take you to a few different points, show you some fishes, and then leave you onto a beach where they can come pick you up at your leisure. And so, you get on these boats expecting to see things, and the kicker about that is they all tell you that it is a glass bottom boat. Now, who wouldn't want to see a glass bottom boat, right? Like, you can see the fishes and you can see what's going on underneath. So obviously tourists are excited, and they're going to jump at the chance to go on a boat tour to not only see the landmark, but also to see the bottom of the boat and see the fishes kind of. Now, all of this is for $15 a head, at least at the time of filming, and we managed to bargain it to $12 a head. So when you're going to these operators, the price isn't set, and of course they're going to try to set them a little higher, knowing that a lot of people are going to bargain. We had some people ask us for 25, and the gentleman that we talked to asked us for 15. Now, my dad is spearheading this leg of the trip because it's one of those things that he really wanted to do. And in this case, he was going to foot the bill. So we left him to do his thing. Now, getting onto this boat, the first thing that you'll have to know is that when these tour operators are selling the boat, you get on the boat, but you have to wait. You'll have to wait till the boat is full, because if the boat isn't full, they're not going to take off. Now, this could mean a long wait for some people, especially if you're the first few people off the boat and you're just going to be sitting there waiting for your turn to go out while they're still trying to sell this service to other people that are going to want to take a water tour. When we got to the boat, there were already a couple who had been sitting there for probably 5 to 10 minutes while we were waiting to get onto the boat itself. So I could imagine that had we, as a group of 10 people, were not there to go on to this boat, they would probably have to wait quite a long time. Now, so we talked to the operator, and my dad sealed the deal. We're ready to go. We're going down towards the dock. And as soon as I get onto the dock, I see the first red flag. Speaking of flags, why don't you hit that bell notification in case we come up with another video that could save you mucho dinero. So as I was saying, we get into the boat and my red flag goes off immediately. And what I see is that this glass bottom boat, the glass bottom is probably about the size of a very small fish tank. I guess it wouldn't have been so bad had I expected it, but I didn't expect it. I expected a glass bottom boat. I didn't expect a piece of glass on the bottom of a boat. And so, we're talking, the panel probably isn't much bigger than maybe half of my body and narrower than my toddler son. So, it's not a very big panel to begin with. And then on top of that, it was dirty. It was filthy. Trying to see, it was murky. It had algae or whatever it was that grows on the bottom. So I already ended up feeling like we didn't get a good deal. Now for the tour itself, instead of the 40-minute, it really only took 20 minutes. It took 20 minutes to sort of get all the way out to the peninsula. We stayed there for a few minutes, and then we were off to the beach. And if you were not prepared, you're going to lose a quick chunk of cash. To get off the boat, you're going to need to take off your socks and shoes. And if you weren't prepared for that, thinking that you're wearing runners and no towel, you're going to have to take them off and plunge into the water to get off, because the boat can't get straight onto the beach in itself, and it's not on a dock. So you're going to pull right up onto the sandy beach, and you just have to hop off. This is okay if you are okay to walk on hot sand. But here's the thing, it's hot sand, and I mean hot. My feet are probably going to be more sensitive than a lot of other people's, but it doesn't negate the fact that walking on it is really blazing hot. And I could have really done with having some sandals in place. Now, there are people who are there ready to hand you a sandal or whatever you need to have an enjoyable afternoon for, of course, a little bit of dinero. So now everything on the beach can be haggled for, from umbrellas to hair extensions. And don't take the first price that you're given. You can work to fight for what you believe is fair value. Now, this is a tourist spot, and this is something I have to really deeply appreciate as a business coach when I watch the people who are making a living on this beach. So as a tourist, you're going to be a little bit annoyed that they're starting the price off high and that you're going to have to haggle for this stuff. But as a business coach, I believe that these people are trying to ensure that they maximize the amount of money that they can earn in their small season for tourists. And they rely so heavily on the tourism industry that at this point, especially with a pandemic behind us, they're just trying to recover and make sure that they can pay their bills, the banks, the loans that they had to take out in order to survive through what was really a really terrible year for tourism 2 years prior. So I get it. The prices are definitely higher than I ever remember going in Mexico. I always believe in ensuring that you don't try to take them and rob them for their work or their hard labor. They're trying to earn a living just the same. And it's no different than you at a job, or if you're an entrepreneur, that somebody is lowballing you for your price. And, yes, everybody wants a deal, but if it starts to encroach on your livelihood and you keep making those concessions, it's not just affecting you, it's affecting the people that you hire, the people that are depending on you to maintain a run of business so that they can come to work each and every day. So here are a couple of things that we haggled for that hopefully may give you some context of how far you can go. Now, a beach umbrella was one of the first things that we wanted to get because my daughter wanted to get some hair extensions. The opening price for an umbrella on the beach was $20, and we managed to haggle that down to $15 because, it's just an umbrella. It's sitting there for the day in itself. And $20 seemed a little bit much to rent a big beach umbrella. When we got off the boat at the port, we had some ladies who came up to us about hair extensions, and they were in and around the $20 price range. So when we talked to the tour operator about the boats, he goes, well, don't get them here because they're going to be cheaper on the beach. And so we just followed his advice, and we thought, well, if a local tells us that, maybe that's exactly true. We took the water tour out to the beach, and when the lady came up to us about hair extensions, they started at $25. So we made sure that we iterated that we could get it for $20 at the port of call. And if that was the case, then I'd rather go back to the port of call. And at this point, my dad continued to haggle, I think, to $15 for the hair extension itself. The lady agreed, but at the end of the day, my dad gave her a very healthy tip to compensate for that, giving a little bit extra money. That I think was $20 anyways, which you asked for without an extra tip. That's all. Now, if you continue on in this video, later on, I'm going to share with you a real gem that I found, and hopefully that you get to find that when you're there in Cabo San Lucas, but you got to stay tuned. So, as a business coach, I am happy to praise a business when they do something great, but I'm also ready to call out a business for doing something that I don't think was a good experience. So let's start with the boat tour. While this is good marketing, I feel like they could have done a better job setting a bar for us that isn't outside of what we imagine. Having a glass bottom boat is definitely appealing for any tourist thinking that they're going to see fish. But the execution in itself was horrible. What they don't tell you is, of course, that you're not going to really see a ton of fish at the bottom of the boat because the boat is constantly in motion. Now, when you're stopped, you're also not going to see a ton of fish because it's murky on the bottom. And so the only way that we actually saw fish was that these tour operators were throwing breadcrumbs or something over the side of the boat. And when they did that, the fish came up to go and eat them, and that's where we get to see the fish. But I mean, I was keeping my eye at the bottom of the boat, and I really didn't see anything at the bottom of the boat, which is kind of disheartening, but also understandable, I think, if you really put some logic behind it. I mean, if they're throwing stuff on the side, you're not going to see anything. And if you're in transit, you're really not going to see a ton, especially in a tiny window on the bottom surface of that boat. So now this brings me to my two gems. The first was a gem that I found at the outskirts of the marketplace at the cruise ship terminal that we arrived at. Within the marketplace, you're wandering around. Now we found a gentleman with a really cool looking stall. It was cool looking because there was a lot of white inside his stall, and that stopped me because everything else was all colorful. So that was in his favor. Because it was white, I stopped to take a notice and go, why is it all white? He was so happy, he was beaming. He goes, hey, brother, come on over here. Let me show you something. And he went in and showed me these beautiful t-shirts that were hand-drawn by him, and only he has them in that marketplace. And of course, you know, part of me goes, well, I don't know if everybody has one of these in the marketplace, but they do look like really great designs. And then on top of that, he was like, yes, and then I make them colored in the sun. So if you go out to the sunlight, you can go take a look. And this, of course, intrigued the interest of me, my brother, my dad, and of course the kids. And so, you know, we all took turns taking these shirts out to see the colors and how they changed. And we were all impressed because there are a couple of shops in Mexico, at least from the cruise ship perspective, like Del Sol, that sells these type of shirts. So we were compelled to want to buy from him because we felt like we were supporting a person who really put his time and effort into the art. He was super proud of it. And of course, through that marketplace, up until that point, we didn't see anything like it. And I can tell you that afterwards, as we finished walking through the market, I still didn't see anything like it. So I hope that when you go on a trip, that you're going to be able to find this gentleman and his stall, because his shirts are beautiful and he draws them. So support a local artist instead of just a person who is buying and selling something that they probably bought at a wholesaler or bought at the cheap. Supporting a real artist with their real hand-drawn designs, I think for me was way more satisfying than to pick up a generic Los Cabos t-shirt or hat. Now, the only thing that was a bummer was that he had mostly sizes in kids and small adults. So I wasn't able to get a t-shirt because they didn't have one that big. But I mean, we got one for our son, we got one for our niece, and of course, we got one for Belle. I think we got one for Melanie as well. But basically, if you're anything bigger than like a medium female, you're not really going to find a ton of stuff in his stall. But when we voiced it to him, he said, oh, well, I didn't think about that. Maybe I'll add some more to the mix, which, you know, can help them down the road. The second gem that we found was a restaurant right at the beach that we got off on, and that was Shark and Sushi. This place we found on a whim. We kind of scanned the beach. We kind of looked around to see what we wanted to eat for lunch. And this place was one of those things that just, you know, you have a moment and you look at the place and it just kind of calls for you to come in. So that's what we did. My dad ran in, got a few beers, and then, you know, asked us to come in. And so we went in to go order. Now, as luck would have it, we found some incredible dishes there that I think to this day, since our trip, we still talk about it. And their seafood was outstanding. They cooked it perfectly. They had we had a fish, a whole fish, and it was delicious. And then we had this octopus that, you know, octopus is really difficult to cook. And they cooked it so perfectly that, you know, when we cut into it, I knew the moment that I cut into it that it was cooked so well that it had like this perfect soft texture. Not hard at all, not chewy at all. And really, it was outstanding to have such a delicious meal there at the beach. Something I didn't expect. I was expecting, you know, an average meal there. And that was truly exceptional. Perhaps a highlight of most of my entire trip. Kudos to the guys at Shark and Sushi. We had an opportunity to meet the owners. They were there and they just happened to be cleaning up, and we got chatting a little bit. And, you know, they were really lovely people. They're very warm and welcoming. And so, you know, I really recommend that you guys go check them out. The octopus is outstanding. Their fish was amazing. So thank you guys for such a great meal. And I'm hoping that you guys here on YouTube, if you guys are going on a cruise to Los Cabos, that you guys can find this one on the beach. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button and subscribe to help me grow this channel. Until next time, be conscious, deliver excellence, and have an awesome day.